Assalamu alaikum. Peace and blessings, everyone. This is Rayesa Gheewala. Just wanted to check in with you all. It's been, I think, a really long time since I actually came in the group and chatted with you and did a live feed. And I wanted to talk about something that's been coming up a lot in a lot of conversations I've been having with lots of different people. I think as women and as moms, we take a lot on, and we feel guilty or bad about things that are maybe within our control or maybe not even within our control. So I wanted to come on and talk about mommy guilt, and I think as a mom, I think every mom has experienced this, and I think it's because we care so much. I think it's because we love so much and we are such nurturers that how do we deal with this? How can we think about this? How can we process so it's not hurting us? If you hop on, you come on, just come and say hi and connect with me and let me know what your thoughts are. So, what can you have guilt about? I mean, you can have guilt about anything, whether it's your children, whether it's your career. I think a lot of times as moms, we have guilt about our children mostly. And somebody had mentioned to me about, if your child is struggling or if your child is hurt or things are not as you anticipated, whether it's their health or whether it's, something in the way of functioning. Like I know for myself, when my oldest was born, I was a novice. I didn't know anything about parenting. I didn't know anything about mothering. I mean, yes, I had some natural instincts as we all do, but when your child is not doing what you expect them to do, or when your child is not doing, is not growing, or is not, performing as society expects them to do, all the milestones that they have to reach in terms of their eating, in terms of their, development. I remember it being such a stressful time for me, for my oldest child. And I would be really harsh on myself, like, what am I doing wrong? Or I would say, like, what is he doing wrong? Like, what's wrong with him? I need to fix him because he's not doing this, this, and this. He's not performing at this level. And that can eat you up inside, because when things are not going according to the expectations or the plan that you have, it can become really frustrating, and it can become really hard, because I know in my situation, when I had kids, it really brought up a lot of places in myself, and kids are really good at doing this, at bringing out and drawing out the places where you need to grow, or you need to change, because as young as our children are, they're still individuals, right? They're still independent souls in terms of, like, we can't control them, or we can't make them be a certain way in order for us to feel okay. And not knowing why my child was behaving a certain way got me very frustrated. So of course, I try to do so many things in order to get my child to behave a certain way. Well, children work just like adults. They don't behave a certain way, and you can't get them to behave a certain way. Yes, we can through yelling, screaming, manipulating, threatening, like all those things, putting consequences on children as well can force them into behaving or doing what you want them to, just like adults, right? You can use those same tactics on adults, yelling, intimidating, screaming, manipulating, withholding something, or bribing them. You can do that with adults too, but adults and kids work the same way, because kids and children are just little adults, they're little humans. They're still human. They work the same way in terms of how the brain works. And we'll get into that another time, but I think, I had this feeling of not being good enough because my child wasn't doing or performing or behaving in the manner that I expected. And, this can happen a lot of times also when, let's say, your child is developmentally delayed according to the doctor, according to standards, that type of sentiment can feed into your fears, can feed, and the thinking around that can make you feel like, okay, well, what did I do wrong? Why did I deserve this? Or why is this happening, And because we all expect things to be perfect when we have our children, and we don't know what we're going to get, right? We don't know what it's going to be like, who this new human is going to be like, who comes into our life. And there's so many things that we don't have control over. Like, we don't know what type of a human being that is going to be born to us, because at the end of the day, you think about it, it's the child that you have is really an independent soul, is created by Allah and belongs to Allah, and is just here with us temporarily as a trust for us to do our best, for us to nurture this soul to their best capability. And they're born with those inherent capabilities of being on the fitra, on natural goodness that each human being is born with. So, every human being is capable of having that innate resilience, of having that innate intuition, and our job is to nurture that independence and that confidence within the self by allowing them to be. And that was a problem that I had. I thought I had to control every single move, control every single action and behavior of my child, so they would be molded to grow up to be such and such. This ideal person that I thought I needed to create. But the person's already in there. They just need to be nurtured in terms of allowing them to be, and allowing them to learn by curiosity. And that's how children learn, is by playing and being curious and asking questions and trying things, even things that make a mess. So, if your child is not behaving in a certain way that you want, or developing in a certain way, don't take it on yourself, because we don't have that type of power, right? Don't take it on yourself to say, what did I do wrong? What could I have done differently? It's all my fault, because that is damaging to yourself. Because when you hurt yourself that way, you can't show up as the loving, kind, compassionate, nurturing mother that your child needs. And that's not in your hands. It's not in any of our hands what type of child we get. There is definitely environment that plays a huge role in the development of children. The brain is really, foundation is set and developed in the first 2 years of life. That's why it's so important to nurture and to be available emotionally and physically present for our child. And that requires us being at our best self. And that means, mentally and emotionally, spiritually and physically being at our best for our children. So, guilt, feeling bad or guilty that, your child isn't performing or is not the way you expected them to be, whether it's physically or it's, mentally, in terms of development, it's not in your hands. And the more you can accept that, okay, there's nothing wrong with your child, meaning like, in terms of health, there are things that we go to the doctor for. There are things that can be addressed and that can be supported and nurtured. But don't believe that there's anything wrong with your child, because, Allah created your child. He or she is perfect just the way they are, in terms of accepting. Because when we can accept anyone, whether it's our child or it's our partner or it's our sibling or our parent or a friend, when you can accept people as as who they are, there's so much more nurturing and love and understanding that comes into that relationship, and compassion that comes into that relationship. And that includes our children too, because it's very easy to become harsh with our children when they're not doing or being what we expect them to be. And that's a lot of pressure. They just try to adjust themselves and arrange themselves and show up with what they think that they're expected to be, right? And we want to raise children who are, independent, free-thinking people who are comfortable and confident and secure within themselves as their authentic, true self. So this is just to all the moms out there, that knowing that you don't need to feel guilty about anything that the way your child is. You don't need to feel guilty about your part in this, because look, you only have control over such things, which is yourself. Really, you'll only have control over what you put into yourself, how you treat yourself, how you care for yourself, and how you show up. And just remember, what I want to leave you with is that you are doing the best that you can with what you know and the resources that you have in the moment by moment. One of the biggest things that can really combat having any type of guilt is, as a mom, that you're not good enough, or you're not your best, or you're not enough in any way because of the situation that your child is in or how they're performing. You can't control anybody except yourself. And I want you to know that you're doing the best that you can with what you know, the resources you have, moment by moment in time. And that is good enough. So I hope that was helpful. If you guys have any questions, post them down below so we can discuss this and we can talk more about it. And looking forward to talking to you soon. Take care. Remember to live intentionally, connect fully, and fulfill your destiny. Take care. Peace and blessings. Assalamu alaikum.